If I were to summarize the book of Jonah, I would put it this way. Imagine you are in possession of a key that could unlock a prison door filled with people. God gives you that key and tells you to go to the prison. But when you arrive, you discover that the people inside are not your friends or loved ones. They are your enemies, people who have betrayed you, hurt you, and done many harmful things to you. Instead of opening the prison door, you turn back and throw the key into the sea because in your heart you feel they are undeserving of mercy, undeserving of good, and deserving to remain imprisoned. Now, the book of Jonah begins with God giving Jonah a clear instruction. He was to go to Nineveh, a great city, and cry out against it because of its wickedness. But instead of obeying, Jonah chose to run away from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa, found a ship going to Tarshish, paid the fare, and boarded it, attempting to flee as far as possible from the assignment God had given him. As Jonah said, the Lord sent a great storm upon the sea, and the storm was so violent that the ship threatened to break apart. The sailors were terrified, each crying out to their own gods while throwing cargo overboard to lighten the ship. Meanwhile, Jonah was below deck, fast asleep. The captain woke him and urged him to call upon his God so they might not perish. The sailors cast lots to determine who was responsible for the disaster, and the lot fell on Jonah. When they questioned Jonah, Jonah admitted he was a Hebrew who feared the Lord, the God of heaven, and that he was fleeing from him. The sailors were filled with fear and asked what they should do to calm the sea. Jonah told them to throw him overboard, knowing the storm was because of him. At first, the sailors tried to roll back to land, unwilling to throw him into the sea, but the storm grew worse. Finally, they cried out to the Lord, asking not to be held guilty for taking Jonah's life, and they threw him into the sea. Immediately, the sea became calm. The Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah remained in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. That's chapter 1. In chapter 2, from inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord. He cried out in distress, acknowledging that God had heard him. Jonah reflected on how he had been cast into the deep, surrounded by waters, yet God preserved his life. He acknowledged God's mercy and declared that salvation belongs to the Lord. Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. In chapter 3, the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time, telling him to go to Nineveh and proclaim the message God would give him. This time, Jonah obeyed. Nineveh was an exceedingly great city requiring several days to go through it. Jonah began to walk through the city proclaiming, "In 40 days, Nineveh shall be overthrown." Remarkably, the people of Nineveh believed God. They proclaimed the fast, put on sackcloth, from the greatest to the least. When the news reached the king, he rose from his throne, removed his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in ashes. He issued a decree that everyone, even the animals, should fast and cry out mightily to God, turning from their evil ways and violence. The king said, "Who knows? God may turn and relent and turn from his fierce anger so that we may not perish." When God saw their actions, that they had turned from their evil ways, he relented from the disaster he had said he would bring upon them, and he did not destroy the city. Okay. Now in chapter 4, instead of rejoicing, Jonah was greatly displeased and became angry. He prayed to the Lord, saying this was why he fled in the first place, because he knew God is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in mercy, and that he relents from sending calamity. Jonah said he would rather die than live. God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry?" Jonah went out of the city and sat east of it, making a shelter for himself as he waited to see what would happen. The Lord then caused a plant to grow to provide shade for Jonah, and Jonah was very happy about the plant. But the next day, God prepared a worm that attacked the plant, so it withered. Then God sent a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head, making him faint. And again, Jonah wished to die. God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be angry about the plant?" Jonah said yes. even to death. Then the Lord said, Jonah had pity on the plant, which he did not labor for, nor make it grow, which appeared in the night and perished in the night. But Nineveh had more than 120,000 people who could not discern between their right hand and their left, and many animals. God asked, should I not have compassion on Nineveh? So this is just the introduction and the summary of the book of Jonah. Watch out for part 2. Okay? God bless you.